Hey, it's Chris, the Midwest Bass Hunter, and today I want to talk to you about my newest bait caster. It's a Lew's Tournament MB Speed Spool. Now, before we get into that, if you'd like to make sure you get more fishing review videos, lure reviews, tips and tricks, and just angling action, make sure you subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit that little bell. That way you don't miss anything. So, let's get into this reel. Now, I bought this reel earlier this year in this, last year in the summertime, 2017, in August. I was actually away from home for an extended period of time, and I was doing some fishing while I was away. And one of my reels that I had actually it went it failed on me. It was a quantum reel, and I don't know what really went wrong with it. I've yet to kind of pull it apart and see if I can fix it, but it really started to like make some serious noise and kind of started to skip around a little bit. Like you'd be reeling, it would kind of like skip. So I knew I was gonna have to replace that reel. So I went down to the Bass Pro Shops. There was one nearby, and I picked this reel up. I was actually looking at a little bit cheaper reel. It's like 20 or 30 bucks cheaper. But they didn't have one in a right hand retrieve. So kind of being limited and where I could go, I just stepped it up to the next level to this Tournament MB series, which was another like 20 or 30 bucks, like I said. Now, this reel is by far, other than my musky reels, by far the most expensive reel I've ever purchased. This reel cost about $140, which is really, it's pretty expensive. I did buy one other bait caster for $100, so then this would be the next closest one. And I spent 70 or 80 bucks one time on a spinning reel. So by far the most expensive one I've ever bought. Now, it's not the most expensive one out there. I mean, you can get reels way more expensive than this, but it is pretty expensive for me. But it has been a good reel, and we'll just talk through a couple of different features on it. So, first of all, this is a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio, and it's 10 bearing reel. They come in different gear ratios. You can get this in a 5.6, 6.8, the 7.5, and then there's an 8.3, which is pretty fast. 8.3 is pretty fast. 7.5 is actually, this is the fastest reel that I own. I don't own anything over 7.5. I own some that are, in that 7 to 7.5 range. This is the only 7.5 that I have, though. So it's a one-piece aluminum frame. It's lightweight, 6.7 ounces. It's not the lightest bait caster out there, but it is pretty light. It's not very heavy. It does fit my hand very well, and it's quite low profile. It's real compact. Most bait casters these days are pretty compact, so that's not outside the norm. It's kind of right there with its competition. It does have, this is aluminum handle, aluminum frame, aluminum side plates. The spool is machined aluminum as well. And it's, they do that for lightness. It's got a lot of holes drilled in it and all that to make it extra light. It's got the typical Lew's paddle style, what I call paddle style, grips. I like these grips a lot. I've always liked Lew's grips. I have one other Lew's bait caster that I really like the grips on. Some people, they don't like these. They think they're too thin or whatever. That's fine. You can just get these little covers that go on them for like $5. To make them a little bit bulkier. I kind of like this flat grip myself. It's got the traditional star drag, 14 pounds of drag, so plenty of drag there for any fish that you're fighting. It's got what's called a multi-setting brake systems, and it has actually 3 different brakes on it, and we'll talk about those. This is the friction brake, which you just use this to tighten down or loosen against the axle that the spool rides on. It also has the magnetic brake on the side plate opposite of the handle, and you can change that to whatever you need it to brake during your cast. Now what that does, it applies a little magnetic force, and it puts it either closer to the spool or farther away when you turn it up or down. And what that does, it applies that magnetic force all throughout the whole distance of your cast, whenever that spool is turning. is how that works. Then there's a third brake, and I'll show you about that one. It is a centrifugal, it's basically like a centrifugal brake, and it's inside on the side of the spool. So to open it up, you have to pull this little pin, and then the side plate twists, and you can take it off there. And so then in here on the spool, you can see these little white tabs. And those are settings for the centrifugal brake. So you can move them in or out, and then it changes how that centrifugal brake works. I have one other reel that has this type of brake on it. I've never really used it much, though. I've always just left it off. So I'm not real experienced on how they work. But the theory behind them is what it does is it applies a little bit of brake when you first cast. So when you're first casting, the lure is coming out of it's pulling line off of the reel. And what can happen there with that initial push is it can actually cause the spool to spin faster than the line is coming off of the spool. And then it will kind of cause a backlash. Obviously, it'll cause a big problem. So I had this spooled up with 50-pound Suffix braid. I was doing a lot of topwater fishing at the time, and so that's what I put on it. It does have shielded bearings, 10 shielded bearings. So they're somewhat protected from moisture and corrosion, water, and things like that. And yeah, the spool comes out real easy, just like any other bait caster. They all come apart pretty simple. And then to put the side plate back on, you just put it back on kind of the spot where it was when you're able to pull it off, and twist it down, it locks back into place. This is a zero reverse or instant anti-reverse, so you can't turn the handle backwards, which is just like any other bait cast reel out there. The handle's kind of bowed, so it's not straight, and it kind of is more compact that way. Yeah, so this reel, I would definitely recommend this reel to my friends or anyone else. It is kind of expensive, but it really is a nice reel. Definitely top notch for what I'm typically using. And it's not too terrible either. I mean, it's not going to break your bank. Save up for a few months, and you can get one of these, not a problem. Another thing I like about Lew's, they always have a free t-shirt offer, it seems like. I bought two different Lew's reels this year, and both of them had a free t-shirt offer, so that was cool. But yeah, this is a really good reel. Really enjoy it. I can't wait till the water thaws up here and I can get back to bass fishing on the open water, so I can get back to using this thing. So thanks for watching today. Make sure, like I said earlier, you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you don't miss any action. And thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.